we'll be continuing down the lines in more detail. This will be a more detailed dive in comparison with the last video on the production possibility frontier part one. So, so the production possibility frontier, also known as the PPF, it's usually abbreviated as PPF. It's important for understanding some basic issues in economics, like the use of resources, which is the um, scarcity, because we have infinite wants versus limited resources, and that creates the economical problem of scarcity. So the description of the best possible combination of two goods produced using all the available resources, or the comparison or the total combination that could be an incursion of goods and services, or it's basically the comparison of two services that could be incurred within the production possibility frontier. So an example of this, let me just skip. For example, we have the example of butter and guns, which is the comparison. So within the production possibility frontier, we consider that to be inefficient. So when it's within the production possibility frontier, we consider to that to be inefficient use of resources. This is something called the efficient curve or the efficiency curve. There are different types of production possibility frontier. We did look at the constant production possibility frontier in the last video. So once it is within that line of segment, it is attainable. So, as with the dotted line, as you could see with my mouse, that is unattainable resources, meaning that with the resources that we currently have, we don't have the potential to obtain that. So the marginal opportunity cost of guns in terms of butter is increasing as we move down the production possibility frontier. As you could see, when we move down the production possibility frontier, there's a marginal increase in the amount of guns supplied. But in order for guns to be supplied at a greater quantity, there needs to be a deduction in the quantity of butter. We are making more guns, but what's the spread on the English muffin, as I would like to say? The PPF is typically bowed out or linear, it is bowed in. So at so within the case of this, there are different production possibility frontier. As I said, there is something called a reduction possibility frontier, production possibility frontier, and or the low scaling production possibility frontier, which is the worst case scenario. Right now, once we see it has this belly like shape, it's effective. But once it has a recessive shape, we consider that the inefficient use of resources or economical recession. So we're going to that just now. So let's go back down to the basic notes. So the opportunity cost of an activity is the value of the resources used in that activity when they are measured by what they would have produced when used in their next best alternative. We did discuss it in more basic terms. So, for example, if we use a resource to make potatoes, then we can't make any tractors. So the tractors in this case would be the opportunity cost. Our opportunity cost in this case is, I think I already answered that, that would be tractors. So the slope of production possibility frontier measures the marginal opportunity cost, which is the sacrifice that we have to make to increase the production process of producing one good in terms of the amount of other good for our gone. So we did look at this graph. I did said that in order to produce more quantities of guns, we would have to give up a quantity of butter, and that quantity or that difference between what we have to give up is something called the marginalization or the difference in opportunity costs. So in this, for instance, this is figure one. This is our first actual figure. So we have the incursion of 1 million quantity of goods per period. So life save per period. So you have the comparison between goods per period and lives per period. In order to increase the production capacity of a life save per period, we had to give up 50,000 goods per period. That 50,000 is the same incursion that we see within all of these things. So in order to produce 8,500 goods per 2,000, or to save 2,000 or number of lives saved per period, we have the incursion of 2,000 here. And let me slow down a bit. So we have 2,000 here. In order to save 2,000 lives, we had to sacrifice a total of 100,000 goods per period in order to have 2,000 lives saved per period. That 1,000 is the marginal increase. So at point A, all resources are used for other goods. Moving from point A to point B requires shifting resources out of their other goods and into healthcare. At point F, all resources are used for healthcare. So at point F, all our available resources are used for the production of healthcare services. So hopefully you understand that. So we have increasing opportunity cost, which is according to the law of increasing opportunity cost. The more of something we produce, the greater the opportunity cost to produce even more of it. So in order to produce more of something, we would have to give up a lot of our necessary practical resources. As we see it in the diagram below, as we go down, there's a decrease in the amount of quantity of goods per period due to the fact of the increasing number of lives saved, and that creates marginal increase in the number of lives saved. But while it does that, it creates a marginal decrease in the goods per period. And that's what we mean by the greater the opportunity cost of producing even more of it. The principle applies to all society's production choices. And as I said before in the last video, choices without choices, the idea of opportunity cost would not exist. So we have something called recessions, and this is the economical stagnation of an economy. This could be include in increased unemployment, factory shutdown, land and capital are not being used effectively, or they're just not being used to begin. To end a recession, would move the economy from point inside its PPF to a point on its PPF. So using either resource to produce more goods and services without sacrificing anything can help us understand an otherwise confusing episode in U.S. economical history. There have been a recession in the U.S. in the early 1980s. I don't know. I can't say for exact, but that was a very sad time for at least in that territorial distinction. So this is the second figure, which is the employment or the unemployment rate, and we'll utilize the production possibility frontier to show that. So when we have this is something called the rightward shift or the extension of the production possibility frontier. So military goods per period, and we have civilian goods per period. So before the World War II, the United States operated inside its PPF, meaning that it had a recession. Then moved to the PPF during the war, both military and civilian production increased, leading back to an at the state of bliss of economical decentralization, meaning that it moved from recession to a state of economical prosperity. So that's something to note. So this is figure 3, the effects of new medical technology. And from that, we have the concept of equilibrium. I will look at equilibrium in a later video. So we have the quantity of all other goods per period with the average of 1 million with the reduction. If you so take that into account, we have a difference of 3,000 marginalization at least goods per period. So let's read, but it's not vertical intercept. Um, a technological advance in saving lives, increase production possibility. Horizontal intercept from this diagram, what it's basically trying to tell you is that there are different factors that could cause a rightward shift of the production possibility frontier, such as new technology, right? If there is new technology in an economy, the production process will increase, and that will lead to more our ability to obtain more goods and more services for the economy as a whole. So yes, guys, that's everything for now, guys. See you to the next video. Subscribe to the Study Prep Guys CSEC. This is the full course in economics. This is on the section of the production possibility frontier.